And then it's just sequel after sequel after sequel.
There was no character development at all.
Just that on pure technical levels.
There are filmmakers that don't want it just to be an entertainment experience. Hello and welcome to Media Academy Online. Now in true colour.
In PAL 40 Vision.
You can actually see us now. We're stepping up. We're trying something different. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. If you like seeing our face, let us know. If you don't,
let us know.
You don't have to look at our face. If you're listening to this podcast on any of the podcast channels, then you don't know what we're talking about. Well, then you can go onto our YouTube and see our faces. If you don't want to see our faces, stick with your old going through those Spotify or Apple podcasts.
I will not blame you for doing that.
Because I understand. Some people don't like looking at our faces.
Most people.
All right, today we're going to be talking about Nightmare Before Christmas. This is Halloween.
Everybody.
And so this one's an interesting one because it's effectively our childhood. Came out right at the perfect time for us.
Absolutely.
However, this film did not really bode well at the beginning.
Not at
do
all.
Well.
No, not
so
at all.
before we do that, let's sort of explain how this film came about. So this story was a story from Tim Burton. One day he was walking down the street and he saw the transition period happen between Halloween and Christmas, where they take down all the Halloween decorations and replace it with Christmas decorations. And so this sparked an idea for Tim Burton, and he actually wrote a poem about it.
Yeah, right.
So it started off as a poem, and then he thought, this might be a good idea for a film. So he wrote it when he was with Disney the first time, when he was an animator and doing a few like short films and stuff there with Disney. Then he went on and became a big star with the other films that he was creating.
Beetlejuice and Batman.
All those other ones with different studios.
Yeah.
Became huge. And then he came back to Disney and said, you've got a story of mine that I want to turn into a film.
Right. Because they didn't want to make it because it was too dark at that time, wasn't it? Yeah. Which is funny because it came out like he was trying to get that made in Disney's dark period. That was during Disney's dark period, and they still didn't make it.
Yeah, it was a weird period for Disney. This is early 90s. This is when Disney they had almost like an image crisis. They didn't know where they wanted to go.
Well, I think they just came out of that more so because then they started gaining who they were again with Little Mermaid.
That is true, yeah.
And
which all
Aladdin.
came out like early to mid 90s.
Yeah, Aladdin and Lion King. So when he first conceptualized this idea and brought it to Disney, it would have been through their dark period, which is during...
that's right, where they're trying to...
When they had like Tron, they were trying a lot of different weird movies.
Yeah.
And then, what's that? The Black Cauldron?
Yeah, that was probably the
darkest animation they had done, which took like
really
6 years and but that was through Disney's massive down period of transitioning heads as well. And Katzenberg, I think, was amongst it, or he took over after that. I don't know, something like that anyway.
There was a change of leadership and all sorts of stuff.
The whole company, like the old ways was all gone, and they were updating and changing, and animation was becoming less regarded because the original 12 men, wise men, or whoever they were called.
12 old men.
They were all kind of dying off and retiring.
9 old men.
So it was during that big transitional period before they got to the 90s. So Tim Burton actually started probably at a good time at Disney because it things happen for a reason.
And there's some really interesting documentaries around that time. That dark time, and some of them on Disney Plus and stuff, where they sort of talk through that dark period and how they got through it.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself wanting a good watch, you can go on to Disney Plus. I can't remember what it was called, but there's a good one on there about that period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some educational Disney.
And it's super interesting because all the big players now were there.
Yeah.
They're all doing like big giant things.
And like John Lasseter was there.
John Lasseter was there. I think it was other ones, I think Brad Bird or someone.
Brad Bird probably would have been floating about.
There was all these people, and they're all around there, and they're all become stars in their own right. And these are all people that went through Disney's like their school they built to bring new blood to the studio.
Yeah.
Cal Arts.
Yep.
Which allowed all of these, up and coming skillful people to become a part of the Disney ecosystem.
Yeah.
And they can teach them in the Disney way. So then when they graduate, they can go straight into Disney. Easy, straight in.
Yep.
And that was good about Cal Arts, and Cal Arts still exists today.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wish we had that here.
Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah.
And yeah, so they've all gone on to do amazing things. Back to the story of Tim Burton. He became a student early on, after he'd done Cal Arts, and he created a few short films that really showed off his style.
Like Vincent
was his
Frank
first
and Weenie
one.
was probably one of them.
Yeah, Vincent was his first one where he could really experiment with animation and create something and show off his style so early on.
Yeah, he had a distinct style from the get go,
and it was like an homage to Vincent Price.
Yep, cool voice.
Yeah.
He's the guy that does the voice in Thriller, that Michael Jackson song. If anyone's wondering, does that little monologue bit in that.
Yeah, that's a good bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it says, but it was really good.
Yeah.
And so, and he worked on a couple other little student projects, and then he got into Disney and said, "All right, you graduated. We're going to give you a job." Now this was a dark period for him because they were saying, "All right, you're going to start drawing the Disney way," and he couldn't do it. He did not enjoy that at all.
Yeah.
Animating the Disney way. And so there was periods where I remember hearing the stories, periods where he would go in and he'd just go to sleep in the cupboard on weird places just to hide away because he couldn't,
That's funny. Like, you go through that whole process to get there.
Yeah.
And then realise that
it's not you. It's not...
You're not allowed to be an individual. You have to basically work as if you're a part of a collective.
And that's a big thing in like a lot of jobs. A lot of people think, I love film. I want to get into film, and then they get a job in film and it might be working on commercial stuff or corporate videos and stuff, and find out there's no creativity in it. It's not why you got, what got you into film in the first place. It's not what you're getting. That's the difficult thing about reality versus,
fantasy,
dreams and fantasy.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people that's true. Like, similar things like graphic design, a lot of people do that.
Been there.
Yeah, a lot of people would, grab into that. I love, doing designing.
I love
things
drawing and I love being creative, and then you do it for a 9 to 5, 8 hours a day, and you go,
and then, like, do us a logo of a cat. I don't know.
Yeah. Do us, but we want it to look not like a cat. We want it to look like a penguin. And you're like,
you can only use these colours, and it has to be, and
the client, be red.
The client comes back to you, says, "I don't like any of it. Start again." And
and then your boss is like, "We've already spent 2 days on this. We're losing money now," and the pressure's on, and you go, "I can't do this anymore." Tim Burton realised that,
and it's true. That happens for a lot of people. A lot of people go into a career. It doesn't even have to be creative. And think, "I like it for this reason." Get into it. Get into the mundane of it, the everyday of it, and then find out it's just not working, and it's fine. That's everyone's
life.
different, and that's if you don't like it, find something else, and that's part of life,
I think life, you're supposed to do things you initially thought you don't want to do anyway, and then you realise, I don't mind doing that. Or
I remember at one stage when I was studying in high school, I was like, I want to do photography. That's my thing, and then. I started getting into that a bit more, and then I found out I like doing landscape photography. The other sort of like wedding and all that, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate going to weddings and sitting there in a suit, boiling hot weather, and have to know exactly when to take a photo and where, and if you miss it, then it's on me, and the expectations.
No.
So
thanks.
It's all like, well, I can just do that landscape as a hobby, but in terms of making money. And that's the thing, find something that works for you. If it doesn't work for you, it's fine. Try and find something else.
And that's life, I guess.
Yeah.
We're all on a journey, individual journey.
That's right.
And
so he was on his journey and worked out. But luckily,
he stayed true to himself, though.
And they realised that he wasn't into it. He wasn't working. It's like, well, it's not
just
working.
take a look at him. You go,
it wasn't working.
he's
But
not dressing up like a Disney guy.
No, he's crazy, and it's funny when you see him in old videos, and he'll do funny things on camera. It was just amusing to see him, like, you know, he's a different kind of guy and different kind of humor, and he'd do funny things on camera, and it's just completely different.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but it's different.
Yeah.
And so Disney noticed that and said, all right, this isn't really working. But luckily they were letting him experiment with short films and stuff. And I think that's when he made Frankenweenie or something like that.
Yeah.
Before he had a chance to work on, you know, his other stuff. So his first one was Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like, I don't know the story fully here, but I think it was Pee-wee saw his style.
Paul Rubens.
He's really good, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Really liked that style and brought him on board.
How's that?
That was his first. And then he also brought on, I don't know, we'll just quite quickly rush through his story here when he gets to the other one. But then, and then he brought on Danny Elfman for that film too. Yeah. He was in a band at that stage.
Yeah,
and
he
had
was
a
in
cool
that
style.
band. Yeah.
And then, Tim Burton saw that band and said, I really like him. I want you to come on board and
then he does the Simpsons theme. You know, it's just crazy how things just happen. And then you get things like that. You know, you get Nightmare Before Christmas and everything else.
Yeah, and so anyway, so he does a few films. He's moved on, and he comes back and he says, "That's it. I want to.
You've got my baby. Let me make it.
Let's make it." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, all right. Might as well."
You've been successful. You've done a few good films.
At this stage, you've done like Batman and stuff. And
pretty high profile.
He was
Edward Scissorhands.
He was a huge up and comer at this stage. Like, this guy's shooting out quality products.
People like his stuff.
So Tim Burton said, "All right, cool. All right, we can do it." And so they, you know, set up a whole system for that. You know,
a whole studio and a whole team.
Worked that out. He brought on
Henry Selick.
Brought in Henry Selick for
in contrary belief, like many people think Tim actually directed it.
No,
but
he didn't.
He wasn't there every day directing it.
Tim Burton was doing his own things, but he also had this little pet passion. So he brought in Henry Selick to be the director. And in hindsight, it's very Henry Selick style.
Yes.
Everyone thinks it's Tim Burton, and there's a little bit of Tim Burton there, but it's very
It's
Henry
more
Selick.
visually Tim Burton.
Yeah.
But the actual feel of it, like the characters and direction, is very Henry Selick.
Yeah,
obviously.
you can tell like the art design was Tim Burton sketching to this.
Yeah.
But the direction of it, like it's very Coraline.
Yeah,
it's very Coraline, which is another film by Henry Selick.
James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah.
He's got that same kind of vibe.
And
creepy, but I don't know. He's got a creepy vibe as well.
Yeah,
where things are just off kilter and a bit weird.
Yeah,
but not too weird.
And I feel like it's whimsical and dark, but it's in a very different kind of way.
Yeah. It's not overkill, but it's not underdone.
Yeah. And so he also Tim Burton also, you know, that's when he brought on Danny Elfman. And sort of the way that worked was that Danny Elfman would go and meet up with Tim Burton every so often when they have a new scene, and Tim Burton will say, "This is what we want for this scene." Explain the scene, and then Danny Elfman couldn't push him out fast enough because he'd start coming up with all these ideas in the middle of the conversation, hearing these tunes and hearing these songs, push him out. And, you know, half an hour later, however long, a couple of hours later, he'd have the song written.
Wow.
Because it just comes. I mean, that's the thing, you know. You get some creatives that it's there, you know. Oh, here's the song.
Yeah.
Like, I know for myself, if I got ideas for a film or whatever.
It's just pouring out.
That's it. It's like, all right, I have to thing it now, you know. Get it down on paper now.
It's just pouring out.
And so that's what he did.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, you know, it's so cool. Like, you get a cool group of people together and away they go, you know, when they're just feeding off each other and collaborating in such a good way. And Danny Elfman and Tim Burton obviously have collaborated through most of their careers in film.
Well, Danny Elfman's done like pretty much every film except for one. Or
he's like
two.
Steven Spielberg's John Williams, for example. Like, just good collaborators.
Yeah, and it just works. The styles complement each other so
absolutely.
Well. So that's what's good, you know, that they've got that. You know, they got that chemistry and it works. And so, so Danny Elfman writing music, had a few other writers, I believe, on board to write the script.
Yeah.
And then the interesting thing is, though, they were trying to get someone to sing the songs. They had an actor involved.
That's right.
To act out all the lines, and they're trying to find a singer, and they couldn't
really get that to work, or couldn't find it.
Old Danny Powell couldn't find anything. He was like, these guys aren't working. It's not the style. So what did he do?
I'll do it.
So Danny Aardman,
how good's that?
He just was a gun, and he said, I'm going to sing it. So he sang it, and he did a great job.
He did.
Worked perfect.
So he did the spoken performance as well, or just the singing?
That was someone else.
How do the voices really match up really nicely, don't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they really do. Because when I think about it, I just hear the one voice. I don't hear.
Well, that's it. That's
two people.
And that's the trick, you know. You get a spoken person in, but he might not be able to sing, and it might just not sound the way it needs to be. And then you got to find another voice that feels like it's the same. And it's the same thing with all the Disney animations, like all the musicals. Yeah. They have a separate singer to the voice.
Apart from
Little Mermaid and all those.
I think Ariel, she actually did, didn't she?
Could have been.
I think she did.
Yeah, but a lot
Lion
of
King, they didn't.
There's a lot of them where they're just like, they'd get someone else involved and to sing it.
Well, they do really well at sort of marrying up voices in that sort of way. Yeah, you wouldn't know any different unless you looked into it.
It's an interesting idea that you need, like they're different ideas that need to bring together. Like you could pick someone and he's a brilliant dramatic actor, but when he sings, it just doesn't feel like the characters. That's why you need to think of them as like two separate
entities. Yeah, you know? Yeah.
Singing through song or telling a story through song is very different and tells the story in a different way than acting does. And you need the two to feel like they belong. And some people can do amazing jobs of it.
Yeah.
And make it feel like it's part of the same thing. Like Johnny Depp and Sweeney Todd, and a couple like those that can really pull off those dramatic actors.
I'll take your word for it.
You haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But there's some people that can really pull it off. And,
you know, a lot of
those,
surprise me.
Some of those musicals.
Yeah. So cool. It's great. This is probably one of my first times seeing this when I was a kid. 94. Would have been in like grade 2 or grade 3.
Yeah.
In primary school. And I just remember getting it on VHS from the video store.
Yeah.
And putting it in, watching it, and just being blown away. And then as soon as it finished, I've said this story before, but as soon as it finished, I think I rewound it and watched it again.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then did it one more time in one night. It was like 3 times in one night, just because I was just so blown away by the visuals and the music.
Well, the first time I watched it was in primary school, and they played it like at the end of the year, like you know, the kids are like hanging around and they want to give us something to do, you know, as they do, the teachers do, to kill some time before you finish. Yeah. And they put it on, and just like the visuals just took me in. I went for a ride. I remember it. Yeah. I just remember that to this day, and I would have been, I don't know, grade 4 or something. And then I just remember going on a roller coaster ride, the singing and the colours and the vibrancy and the animation. Yeah. You just go on the ride.
It's amazing. Just every character in it they're all cool designs. Like even the background guys, everything about it, every street in that town is awesome. Like, you know, you got I love his dog Zero, you know, the ghost dog. Yeah. Zero, and then you got the mayor who changes his face, and you've got the werewolf guy, you've got...
They're so inventive.
Oh, you got the creature from the Black Lagoon sort of guy hanging around. You've got...
Walking around, it's great.
You got just every little creature in it is just, you know, there's so much detail. It's so rich. And like we've mentioned before, we're just so surprised that no TV show or spin-off or sequel has ever been made.
Yeah. And I guess that brings us to when they released it. And this film finally came out. The studio had no faith in it.
They didn't push it. I guess that's why it wasn't big.
They said, we're not going to give you a marketing budget. We don't believe in this film. We're not going to market it.
So it was basically just a video release.
It was a basic success story. F you to Tim Burton, really. Imagine hearing that. We don't believe in your film enough to promote it.
It's too dark.
Yeah, and
you know, they probably had their Lion King or something coming out, and they're probably like, no, we don't want to take away from that one. We just want to build up Lion King and not...
Even Lion King they thought was going to be a flop. Pocahontas, that's the one they thought was going to be the big giant one.
Really?
And that was the one that didn't do as well, you know?
It shows you how much they knew.
Which is really interesting in itself. you know. And then they bring out this film, and they're not going to promote it. I was like, fuck you, you're not going to promote it. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We just spent, all these animators just spent years in a dark room.
Yeah. Moving limbs millimeters a day.
And you're not going to promote anyway. So that's
good
what
old
they
Disney,
did, you know. And it kind of fizzled. You know, it's just like a poof, you know.
Yeah.
Came out.
Yeah.
And
can thank this guy for that.
It's all his fault. How dare you?
Yeah.
And then so that's what happened. It kind of came out, and then it was there. But you know, the thing is, the audience has its say, and then what happens slowly over time? What happens?
You get a cult following, and then it expands into just something that's in pop culture.
And now it's something huge. Yeah. You know, I'll be making like so much money
off
per
merch,
year.
just off merch.
And, like myself.
Yeah. There you go.
See?
Yeah.
It's just small things like this.
Amazing.
It just keeps making money from this one film.
Because you get the Disney aspect and you get the Tim Burton aspect. So you get, you know, people have a lot of people follow Tim Burton just for his style and what he does. So he's got a big following. And then you got Disney as well. So couple those two together and you got a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And they haven't done much with that.
No. And that's right. There is no shows or nothing. It's just that one film.
Which is unique. It's very unique. And it kind of set up that, I guess, that brand of claymation for the future, which is Corpse Bride and the Laika stuff, Coraline and...
effectively the beginning of Laika and what they do. And I guess that brings us to the next sort of conversation is the animation itself. And so a lot of people, you know, don't know what stop motion animation is. It's not something that gets talked about a lot because it hasn't been used in a very long time for a lot of use cases. Yeah. I guess if we rewind the clock, before computer animation, everything was stop motion.
Ray Harryhausen.
That's right. Ray Harryhausen
is the pioneer.
He was.
King Kong and...
Look at all those films.
Sinbad and Clash of the Titans and...
Absolutely.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I could be here all day reeling off movie names, but yeah, and Phil Tippett as well, who did you know Jurassic Park and RoboCop in the 80s and then you know and then claymation as soon as Jurassic Park came out 93. That's when the big change happened. But this is when Nightmare came out. Yeah. There's a time when it fizzled out in film, but then it sort of became a new thing in children animation.
Yeah, well that's it because there was at this stage there was two ways of doing animation. There was hand drawn. There's hand drawn animation, what we all know, the typical Disney stuff. Yep. And there's stop motion, and they were the two main players in animation at that stage. 3D animation was just deemed it wasn't a thing, or it was just deemed too expensive and too new to be able to do. Yeah. And like there was a line when John Lasseter was trying. He says, "I want to make a film." They were kind of like, how much is this going to cost and how long is it going to take? Because they're the two things that they care about, the studios. Will care how long it takes and
how much will it cost at the end of
how much it will cost. Yeah. And so he basically said it won't cost any more and it won't take any more time. And they effectively said the only way we would greenlight this is if it was cheaper or quicker to make. You know, and he went on and the Pixar happened and that was a whole nother story.
Well, that was what? Toy Story was 94, the first one?
Yeah, so it was kind of...
It's about the same time. Yeah. And they only could do very limited amount of things in Toy Story. Obviously, they did toys because they couldn't make things look realistic. Really, everything looked plasticky,
which is easy to do in computer. Really, everything looks, you know, solid objects, smooth solid objects. It's super easy to do in computers.
But yeah, it just doesn't. You could not do a nightmare kind of film.
But you know, humanoid characters is hard. Like even you hardly saw the faces in
Toy Story. Yeah.
It was mainly feet and weird things like that. You might have, you know,
you saw the bully, but like, they look like weird hybrid people.
That's
anyway,
the thing because
plastic
people are hard to do. Yeah. You know, this was, you know,
early days.
And before Pixar did it, no one else was touching it. Yeah. So what are the other options? And then stop motion was Tim Burton's baby. He had followed
the concept and everything.
He had done films prior. His short films were all done in stop motion. You know,
Vincent and Frankenweenie. Yeah. So
that's when, that was his style, and he said, this is great, a lot of creativity, tactile, that's the thing, because you can touch it.
It's texture, all that you can see the textures.
Yeah, and so then he naturally was drawn to that and had to say it, and he said, that's how we're going to do it. And the way stop motion, works is that you've got a very large room, where they would build a physical set at a quarter scale or small scale, and you might have a character, an armature, what they're called armatures, which is effectively like a system where gives it mechanical arms and limbs and bones and stuff. Might be the same size of the Mickey on your shoulder. Yeah, and they can be posed and animated any way they want. It's almost like a crude way of looking at it is like a Lego figure. Yeah, you can move those and animate them how you want.
Or even like Gumby. He had the wires inside of him, and you could
you'd pose it and stay in position.
Yeah.
And so the way you'd do it is you'd set him up and you'd move it just the tiniest little bit. So his arm might be, let's see if I can get it on vision. His arm might be there, and then they'd take a photo, click, and they move it just a little bit. Take another photo, click, little bit, click, little bit, click, and take all these photos. And then what do you do with these photos? You play them one after another, which is recording video is the same process, or film is just lots of little frames one after the other, and it's using that technique, but it's not in real time. It's just set one after the other, and you're choosing when those frames will be. Yeah, and so when you play them one or the other, it'll look like the arm moves like this. Yeah, and that's the process that is used.
It's a very laborious process.
It is a slow one. Yeah. Slow one. And we were lucky, both of us, me and Brandon, were lucky enough to have a teacher, Craig Ross, who was amazing at it, and he was a huge pioneer. He sort of fought for our area for this kind of style. Yeah, totally. He worked on Mary and Max. He was a real gun at his craft, and he taught us everything that he knew, and it was great.
Very, very privileged to have been around that, you know. Because Mary and Max is a big deal in Hollywood.
It was Australian film, and it
did well.
It was great.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
Heaps of actors in that. Yeah, it's cool.
It was in Sundance, and it was, lots of stuff happened.
Yeah. Just goes to show.
And so, that's the style they used. Which is amazing to see. Yeah. That style get used. And it's one of those ones that, if it wasn't for Laika, it wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah. It sort of gets me sad, though, because I know it's like still on its dying legs again.
And it's the same thing with, traditional animation, like hand-drawn animation. It's going gangbusters in other countries with like anime and stuff like that. And Studio Ghibli and all that kind of stuff. So it's still
beautiful stuff.
And you see like Studio Ghibli stuff is
it's just beautiful,
amazing. It's
what Disney should be doing.
Yeah,
they should have their own division doing 2D animation like Studio Ghibli does.
Yeah, they should still be doing it. And the thing is, because Hollywood at the time said, when all these films were doing really badly with 2D animation,
like Atlantis and all that. Yeah,
because they were basically saying, and all these Pixar ones were doing really well. They're saying, the audience doesn't like hand-drawn animation.
They just
we do.
Yeah. Just do it right.
We just need a good story.
Yeah.
We just don't want to see shit stories.
Like, all the movies they did at that period were just so uninspired. Like, there was good ideas there, but they weren't really exciting.
And they weren't what you expected for Disney either. They were very un-Disney. They were like...
Yeah, like Atlantis and... What were the other ones that came out at that time period?
There was a space one.
The space one.
The guy that
Treasure Planet.
Yeah, Treasure Planet. Yeah. There was a few others that they did a farm one.
I never saw Homecoming or something. Yeah, I never saw that one.
And so they brought out all these different ones, and it was,
it was just like
they were doing bad because they were doing bad because you're rushing out shit films that we don't want to see.
They just went right, and
it's sad because of the amount of visually and. They were amazing. Visually, they were stunning.
There was some rich stuff there.
Stuff going there. Story-wise, they just didn't have that Disney
magic
that we wanted.
It was lacking some... They felt very corporate, even though the ideas were like wild.
Yeah, they kind of felt more like a film that maybe Fox might make or someone else.
Yeah, they were like competing with Fox in that.
Yeah,
like with,
so they're like, I would just do Foxy style.
El Dorado and Prince of Egypt and all those were coming out.
Yeah.
And then you had, I just remembered, Stop Motion as well was kept alive from, what's the name? Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run and those guys.
Chicken Run, I remember that. That was a big thing. I remember seeing that in the movies.
Yeah, that was big.
That was good.
I can't remember the name of their studios now.
What are they? Aardman.
Aardman. Yeah, they did really well.
Which is great.
Now they've died off, I think.
Yeah, they're just doing like deals now with other studios to make films. But
they did. I think their last one, the pirate one, flopped pretty badly.
Yeah.
And that was it. I know they've done Shaun the Sheep. I think Shaun the Sheep's a saving grace.
Well, the thing is, kid films, they're just going gangbusters. Yeah. I remember I was at my parents' house and they were playing like kids shows on YouTube.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the views on YouTube with all these kids shows. And they're like,
because kids just rewatch.
The amount of money that these bloody channels will be making per show, and it's basic, piss easy animation anyone can do. Basic stories, and kids just rewatch them.
Yeah, it's non-stop.
And so that's the thing. Of course, Aardman are gonna just do like the kid stuff because
why not? That's
people will watch it on repeat.
Makes sense. Good for them.
Yeah,
that's fine.
And I guess, the beginnings of Laika. So if you don't know what they are, they're effectively the only studio that exists that are actually doing
stop motion. That's all they do.
That's their own thing. That's what this is all we're going to do.
Yeah.
And so they sort of started, on their own. Like they did other films for other...
Corpse Bride,
which wasn't, it was kind of connected, but not...
It was sort of the mid-transitional thing.
Yeah. And so then they went and... they did Coraline, as we mentioned before, with Henry Selick.
Big success.
Which did really well. That, critically did really well.
Across the board, I think it won Best Animation.
That came out at the same time as Mary and Max, and are kind of competing, but not.
Yeah.
And I remember watching a video with the director of Mary and Max, Adam Elliott, at Sundance or somewhere where it was. And I remember there was a really sweet moment where Henry Selick and Adam Elliott saw each other. And Adam Elliott... Henry Selick came up to Aardman and said, "I've really loved your film. It was beautiful." And I had this nice little moment where we were talking about each other's film and
mutual respect.
It was nice to sort of see them not as competition, but supported each other. Yeah, which is you kind of think, these two films are against,
Yeah.
But it was nice, just two artists just saying, "I appreciate your work."
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Which is lovely. It's beautiful.
Yeah, surprising they haven't made anything or they haven't.
Well, Adam Elliott. That's another conversation. But he's gone.
He's gone rogue.
He got offered a lot of jobs and he just didn't. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. We'll leave him.
Yeah, we'll come back to Adam Elliott.
So Laika's doing that, and unfortunately they had a bad, a film that wasn't received very well. I can't say bad film because it's not a bad film. It was just wasn't received very well. Wasn't marketed right. Unfortunately, we'll see what goes from this point because they're so small. They can't keep having
losses.
Too many losses. And they cost so much to do because you've got full-time animators working for years on a project. Yeah,
I almost feel like that Missing Link movie, they probably lost money on.
Yeah, they would have.
So...
which is sad.
They would have had to take that loss and then gone, okay, we really need to get a win. So the next film, if they hopefully do another one... it's got to really connect with audiences. So they've really got to think about what's going to work.
And we're having successes. Coraline.
Paranorman. Box Trolls. Kubo.
Yeah, Kubo. Yeah. Which Kubo was like an unknown one. I don't think a lot of people saw it.
I saw it in the pictures.
But it was a really good film.
It was critically well received. Yeah, and I don't think it lost money.
Yeah, I probably didn't. No.
Yeah, I think they probably would have just made money on that. Yeah. But I think Missing Link did shockingly in the cinemas.
But that was nominated for Academy Award, so it was kind of...
maybe we'll have a resurgence. Maybe we'll end up
maybe it'll be the
breaking even, just,
Well, that's the thing. Academy Awards does wonders for any film that was nominated.
Yeah, sort of gives them a second life.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see.
Hopefully. Nightmare Before Christmas, I think the most interesting part of that whole movie or story is that whole idea of the Jack Skellington character who's is built up to be. He's almost meant to be this dark character. He's meant to be evil, so to speak. You know, but like all the characters in that world are supposed to be dark or evil, but they're all kind of bumbly or silly or. You know, they're not evil apart from a few characters.
Well, that's what they sing, like, I can't remember the words, but it's like, that's our job, but we're not mean.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Where they sing that along, which is great. Like, they're telling us as we're watching, these are just normal people living in normal land.
Yeah.
But they're just seen by, and there's a lot of, like, reference to society in this one. Yeah. They're just seen as bad by another race or another
outsider, for example.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because Jack just doesn't seem like he fits with that program or that whole idea. He's an outsider in his own world.
And this is coming back to like our whole story earlier on with Tim Burton.
This is Tim Burton once again.
And he's great at those outsider stories because that's how he felt his whole life.
Like Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, I don't know. Like he's always got these characters that are just Batman, you know. And it's cool. Like, and I love the idea that he's meant to be built up and everyone's looking at Jack Skellington to be this idol or to be this respected figure in their world. And he just doesn't want it. He's just like, no, this is not me.
Yeah,
so he goes off and tries to find himself. And then he ends up finding those trees, the lost forest part or whatever. I can't remember what it's called, but you got Thanksgiving tree, you got the Christmas tree and the Easter tree.
It was great.
Oh, like we gushed about that moment before because it's just like the possibilities there.
That was probably the biggest like wow moment as a kid watching. Like, oh my god!
Yeah, imagine there's more worlds.
Yeah, I could visit Easter land and just get chocolate whenever I want,
and then hop over to Christmas land and
get some presents. It was great.
It's just such a great concept. 'Cause that's when you're a kid. This is how you think about those holidays. You know, you really think they are a world or something that's actually happening.
How I feel because that's your whole existence in December
is geared to
is Christmas,
just like Easter is geared to that. You know, we're very hardwired into that. You know, and whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. It's consumerism to the max, but. You know, that's a topic for another story.
you look back at those times and all you think about are the times.
Yeah, so, good memories.
And you know that's what's great about that concept. And then you got, as I was just saying, you got the Tim Burton concept where he doesn't feel like that's his thing. And again, talking about how Tim Burton was animating the Disney style and was like, you know, I'm in this position where a lot of people would die for, but I'm just not happy. And then we reflect that onto Jack Skellington, where he's in a position where a lot of people would die for, being, you know, the king of the crop, you know, but it's just not.
He's not feeling it.
So there's the connection straight away.
Amazing.
There is a lot of reflection in Tim Burton's life, in his art, and that's, if you know it, it's there.
It's so cool. It's great. I love that. How much he puts himself into his characters. I love that because he's so personal with it. And, you know, that's just so, I don't know, I just find that so captivating. So I really connected with the Jack Skellington character. I don't know, I just did.
And that's what's...
Because it's personal.
Any Tim Burton film that is his film, that is his story and his passion, we relate to, and that's the ones we remember. You know, when he does these big, giant Hollywood ones, they don't have that same feel.
No, not at all.
But then you think about films such as Nightmare Before Christmas and others, you know, Edward Scissorhands, that has his touch in it.
Probably the two strong ones.
They're the ones you think about, and you know... And we feel and have stuck around today. Yeah.
It's just an interesting thing that he didn't direct it. I still can't get over that.
And everyone. And the thing is, the sad thing is, right?
Henry doesn't get...
Henry, everyone's saying, have you seen Tim Burton's new film? Coraline. Tim Burton, because I keep putting by the director of you know, Nightmare Before Christmas.
From the visionary filmmaker behind...
Yeah.
Edward Scissorhands.
So everyone's just assuming, oh, that's Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And then Coraline, he gets that one shoved. It's just sad.
He just can't win. Poor Henry.
And he hasn't done that many films. I don't know, he's probably part of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, Monkey Bone destroyed him, I know that much.
Yeah.
Which, that's another topic for another day, but poor Henry.
Henry, we feel you.
Yeah. We feel your pain.
But we're there for you.
Yeah.
Make some films.
But yeah.
Anyway, let's finish up. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it, which I don't know if you haven't, then what planet are you from? But I guess it's one of those films that really, resonates with us for a lot of reasons. A lot of them we mentioned.
Do you think a lot of goths were born from watching this?
Possibly.
Do you reckon a lot of, yeah, do you think, I mean, I know for a fact that a lot of people got into that whole, what do you call it? Not the gothic look, through Tim Burton.
Yeah, because that was his...
Growing up,
Yeah. Not that his films are always really that gothic, but we'd always think of them as that gothic.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about them, there's no one else with that kind of visual style.
No, yeah, that's it.
And, yeah, it's unique. And, like, people catched on.
Yeah.
It just hit a spot. Like, there was people waiting, like, people that listened to... I don't know, the Cure and, like these gothic types that, like coming from Joy Division and these punky, post-punk bands. And then I guess Tim Burton just sort of is an extension of all that as well, where it's like this teen angsty stuff.
Yeah, and that was, the quote-unquote emo stage of when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Like, that was the big thing when I was in high school, and probably same for you.
Yeah, it came through, yeah.
You have these people that would, fall in the emo category, and you'd listen to the emo music and the punk music, and they'd have the hair that goes across their eyes.
And they'll have the lip piercing.
And it still exists today. Like,
smoking their cigarettes.
Still people that dress that way.
Yeah. It's transformed, but, like, it's funny, like, you had your goths and then your emos.
And then somehow emo became like almost like it's a way of insulting someone.
Yeah, you're emo. Oh, there you go. I forgot about all that.
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just finishing up. It's a very interesting story. Both the film itself and the story of how it came about.
Yeah.
And it could only have been done at that time in that format with those people.
Yeah, it's that small window in the early 90s. Bang. Here you go. Anyway,
we'll finish up there. Thanks for watching or listening.
Yes, indeed.
If you're on YouTube, watch all of our other videos. Yeah. If you're listening to this any other way, then... I don't know, go onto our YouTube, then watch our videos.
Smash the thumbs up.
Smash
or the thumbs
that
down.
thumbs up. If we talk too much, thumbs down. Please don't be too mean to us, because we want the algorithm to help us. So putting a thumbs up will help us with the algorithm.
That would be nice. Do us a solid, as they say. Yeah. As you say.
That's my say. Do me a solid. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell.
Ring the bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, ding-ding.
So, if you do it,
good on you.
That'd be great.
Just comment. Just interact.
Yeah, we're here to talk.
Let us know if you want us to talk about anything, any movies.
If you've got some ideas for us for these next podcasts. But we've got an exciting year. We're going to try and get some more people in to interview.
Yeah. Musicians and
all sorts of
like.
things. Anyone in the whole
entertainment industry
world.
Yeah.
We're going to bring them on here. We'll try and keep it as as open and as varied as possible.
Got more tip videos coming.
We've got some more videos. So we just released a new educational video. Go watch that. It's a new style for us. So give it a watch, and if you like it, we'll do more.
Yep.
Other than that, we'll see you in the next one.
Adios.